the Guardians of Metal Entertainment. I'm here with Tim from Protest the Hero.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Very good. How you doing?
Good, good. We're here in Vancouver, BC. You're partly halfway through the 10-year anniversary of your debut album.
Yeah, this is the second leg of 5, so
Second leg of
last
5.
show on the West Coast.
Nice. And it's good to be out here on the West Coast?
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been a while. I think we only really came through in 2013 when we were doing the first initial run for Volition, so it's been long overdue.
Yeah, and you guys are also here at the Vogue Theatre
Yeah,
in Vancouver, so familiar territory then.
absolutely.
Cool. So I was going to ask you, I mean, you put out the album 10 years ago. Would there be anything that you would change today? Like, you guys are still pretty happy with that release and what you guys did?
I look at a record as a photograph or a way to capture where you were at a time and where the band was. So, you know, there's not anything that I particularly change. If it comes down to like little things like when we went to relearn it, you know, I find myself playing some parts a little bit differently.
Right.
And I probably would have approached the writing a little bit differently, but at the same time, it's like, if I knew then what I knew, or if I knew now what I knew then, it probably wouldn't have turned out to be the record it was. So I feel it was a very naive and just kind of amateur songwriting that kind of made it kind of what it is.
Well, you guys put out a 7-inch before that, right?
Yeah, we did a 7-inch, we did a EP,
Okay.
and then a handful of just kind of one-off recordings.
Yeah.
But this was the first full length. So.
First full length. And obviously it went over really well.
Yeah, for sure. It was nice. We hadn't really, like the stuff we had released, hadn't really captured the band in the best quality. And, you know, between our EP and the full length, there was a pretty dramatic change from like a more punk style with not as much singing into a more melodic and heavy and metal influence kind of band. So that was a pretty big leap between those two releases.
Like, do you find you guys are getting heavier now? Like, do you guys consider yourselves sort of heavy metal or metal? Like, you know, Wikipedia says, you know, progressive metal. I mean, there's so many genres. So what do you guys put yourself?
I like to say progressive aggressive.
Yeah.
But I don't spend too much time thinking of where it's at. I say hard rock or rock band. It's like, you know, it's all loud, heavy music, I guess.
You guys are doing this, you guys are going to be releasing 6 new songs, I believe, through the Pacific Myth.
Yeah.
And it's one tune per month, and looking at my notes here, it's $12.
Yeah.
So who came up with that sort of approach?
A collaborative thing that we've been talking about for a while.
Okay.
Actually, today's November 15th, so we're releasing the second song.
Awesome.
And we just posted it, and then we saw that the Bandcamp website was down for me.
Oh shit.
But I'm sure that will be momentarily back up and running.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're always interested in releasing stuff in different ways, and the Protest the Hero model has kind of been write a record, tour it for 2 years, and then disappear for however long it takes to make the new record. And that is a time period where we kind of go silent. There's not a whole lot of stuff to give to people that might be waiting. So we figured doing something like this is a way to keep people engaged instead of giving them all this music at once. Make them wait, but space it out. And at the end of it all, we'd like to have an EP that, you know, stands as a body of work on its own, and you're kind of getting a little taste of it, you know, throughout the 6-month period. And 6 months flies by. People,
absolutely,
you know, you know, and then when it's released, it's going to be, you know, people might know the backstory, but it'll just be another release. So it's just a way to kind of get people engaged as it's being recorded, and to let them hear stuff as soon as possible.
So you said you know, like you tour for a couple of years and then you kind of disappear. Do you guys do a lot of your writing when you disappear, or do you guys write when you're on the road?
Yeah, no, we can't really tour and write. We haven't had much success. Like, I see. Some of the guys will write individually. Okay. But we do kind of just need a break from touring in order to kind of hunker down. So.
Right. You guys went to South Africa, I believe.
Yeah, we did twice. Yeah, we were there.
So how was that?
It was great. We went, I think it was September of 2014, and it was a festival. Yeah. And so we just did a one-off festival. It was us and then a band from the States called Unearth.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they were here a month and a half ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
They're fucking awesome.
Yes. So yeah, we've toured with them a couple times, and I grew up listening to them, so
Yeah,
that's pretty
for
cool.
sure.
And then it went over really well, so the promoter decided to bring us back in April of last year, and yeah, it was great. It was, it's
Great experience just going over there.
absolutely
Yeah.
it's a different world. I find it is kind of easier to travel to a place where English is like one of the main languages. So there's not that language barrier, but there is definitely a scene, and there's definitely
Food, culture, like all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. Music.
yeah. But at the end of the day, people love music, and it's a place that not a lot of bands have taken the time to go. So when you do, people are really appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Like this particular tour ends early December. Are you guys going to do any U.S. dates?
No, we're just kind of doing the Canadian stuff.
Okay.
And we've yet to really map out next year, but hopefully at the end of the Pacific Mid,
Yeah.
it's like that will give us an excuse to kind of do some more touring.
Yeah, you guys are doing Japan, right, in May?
Yeah, so that's coming together. We're doing Japan for sure, and I'm trying to build around that to do some Asian dates as well.
And I think you mentioned on your Facebook it's like 8 years since you've been
it's
there.
insane.
So
We went there on Kazai, we went there on Fortress,
Yeah.
and then it just disappeared. And it was
8 years flew by.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was growing too, and it was great. Like the last time we were over there, we did 4 shows supporting Bullet for My Valentine,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and it was great. And then for some reason, we just weren't going anymore. Something happened, so it'd been a priority for a while. So I'm happy.
So are you brushing up on your Japanese?
I'm trying to remember what. Can't remember. Obviously, like Konnichiwa. And
Yeah. Konbawa, arigato.
Kampai, I think, is cheers. and-
Irashaimase. You always hear that in storefronts.
Yeah.
It's funny.
My wife spent some time in Korea teaching, so
Oh, cool.
I learned just a very little bit, but no, I find it fascinating. Anytime I've been to Japan, it's been great, and I'd love to spend more time in China, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and I've heard that there's great metal scenes over there.
I wanted to ask you, obviously you guys are huge Blue Jays fans.
Yeah.
And they knocked out Texas, and they got to Game 6 for Kansas City. So I wanted to ask you, what were you doing when the Blue Jays possibly could have went to the World Series? What were you guys doing? Were you guys on the road?
No, we were home. I
Were you
pretty
home?
much had plans for every game. I didn't go to a playoff. Like I'm from Toronto, so,
Yeah.
but couldn't justify splurging on tickets and wasn't able to make it happen.
22 years.
Yeah, so that might have been like, especially that game with Texas, the game
Yeah.
5. That's like, probably going to be a historical game. It's probably the people that went witnessed one of the craziest baseball games ever played.
Yeah.
So, but the whole city was electric. I went out to different bars and or spent time with friends and
Absolutely.
watched every game, glued to the TV.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. It would have been too good to be true, I think, if they won. But if they lost to the guys that won, then at least to me, that makes them runner-up. So
Absolutely.
it's exciting. We'll see what happens next year, and it was long overdue.
Absolutely. All right, man. We're gonna let you go. Anything you want to say to the fans before we head out?
No, I'm just excited. Like I feel like 2015 was a lot of writing and getting stuff going, and I hope that 2016 we're gonna pick it back up and get back out there on the road and have lots more music and material and stuff like that. So it should be exciting.
And for definitely fans watching this video, if you guys haven't seen these guys live, go and see the show. They're awesome.
Yeah, I don't know when this.
You guys are awesome.
I don't know when this is going to be up, but there's a handful more dates out on the West Coast and stuff in Southern Ontario.
Well, like even next year, if you guys tour, like I'm sure we'll see you guys probably, hopefully next year.
Yeah, I'd love to do another full headliner through Canada, and
Yeah. Absolutely.
Canada's where we grew up touring, so it's like we always remember where we came from and always come back to the places that treated us well.
Awesome. All right. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Later.